If you wake up tired, fade by noon, and keep reaching for more caffeine, the problem might not be your workload or your willpower. It might be the way you're hydrating. Most people think hydration is simple. Just drink more water. But if you still feel foggy, heavy, headachy, or oddly drained even when you're carrying a water bottle everywhere, there is a good chance you are making one of a few very common mistakes. And some of them can actually leave you feeling worse. By the end of this video, you'll know which hydration habits quietly drain energy, why electrolytes matter more than people realize, and what a smarter, steadier hydration routine actually looks like. Here's the part most people miss. Feeling dehydrated does not always look dramatic. You do not need to be dizzy on the gym floor or stuck outside in the heat to have hydration working against you. Mild dehydration can show up as low energy, reduced focus, headaches, dry mouth, constipation, irritability, and that strange feeling that your brain is online but not exactly sharp. And because those symptoms overlap with stress, bad sleep, and undereating, people often miss the pattern for months. The first open loop is this. One of the biggest hydration mistakes is something health-conscious people do on purpose. The second is why plain water is sometimes not enough. And the third is the daily timing mistake that can make your whole afternoon feel flatter than it should. Let's start with the first mistake. Waiting until you feel thirsty. Thirst is useful, but it is not an early warning system. By the time many people notice real thirst, they are already behind. That matters because even mild fluid loss can affect attention, mood, and how difficult tasks feel. In plain language, your brain starts working harder to do the same job. So you may not say, "I feel dehydrated." You say, "I can't focus today. I feel off. I need another coffee." A smarter approach is to stop treating hydration as an emergency response and start treating it as a rhythm. A glass of water in the morning, some fluid with meals, and steady intake across the day usually works better than ignoring it for hours and then trying to catch up all at once. That leads to mistake number 2, chugging large amounts of water at once. This is where the usual advice can backfire. If you barely drink all day and then slam a huge bottle in 10 minutes, you may feel full, sloshy, and still not truly better. Your body handles hydration best when intake is spread out. And if you overdo water without enough sodium and potassium, especially after sweating, you can dilute the balance your cells rely on to move water where it actually needs to go. This is where people say, "I'm drinking so much water, so why do I still feel tired?" The answer is that hydration is not just about the amount you swallow. It is also about absorption, distribution, and mineral balance. So let's talk about electrolytes without turning this into supplement hype. Electrolytes are minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium that help regulate fluid balance, nerve signaling, and muscle function. They are part of why hydration affects not just thirst, but energy, focus, headaches, and performance. That does not mean everyone needs fancy packets all day. It means that if you drink lots of plain water, sweat heavily, eat very little sodium, exercise hard, or live on coffee and convenience foods, your fluid strategy may not match your actual needs. In practical terms, some people do better when they get more mineral-rich foods, enough sodium in the context of a balanced diet, and a steadier overall routine instead of random bursts of water. Now here is mistake number 3, starting the day dehydrated and then leading with caffeine. Overnight, you lose fluid through breathing and sweat, even if you sleep well. If the first thing you put in your body is strong coffee, you may still function, but you are not giving yourself a great foundation. Coffee itself is not the villain here. Moderate coffee intake can absolutely fit into a healthy routine. The problem is using caffeine to cover for low sleep, low food intake, and low hydration all at once. That combination can feel like false energy in the morning and a crash later. A simple upgrade is to drink water soon after waking. Then have coffee with or after food instead of using it as your entire morning strategy. The next mistake is more subtle, assuming all fluids work the same way. They do not. Sugary drinks can create a quick boost followed by a drop. Alcohol increases fluid loss and often worsens next-day fatigue. Excess energy drinks can pile caffeine onto dehydration and poor sleep. Even some so-called wellness drinks are mostly sweeteners with a health halo. If your goal is steadier energy and a clearer head, your baseline should be boring in the best possible way. Water, mineral-rich foods, and strategic electrolytes when your context actually calls for them. Think of specialty drinks as tools, not a personality. Another common mistake is ignoring the role of food in hydration. People talk about water as if hydration comes only from a bottle, but food matters too. Fruit, vegetables, soups, yogurt, smoothies, and meals with enough minerals all contribute to fluid balance. This is one reason extremely restrictive eating patterns can make some people feel worse. If meals are tiny, low in sodium, low in potassium, and low in total calories, energy can dip for several reasons at once. You do not want to blame every tired afternoon on hydration when underfueling is part of the picture. But you also do not want to miss the fact that better meals often improve hydration status indirectly. Here's where it gets really interesting. The quality of hydration often shows up in the brain before people think about the body. Your brain relies on fluid and electrolytes to maintain normal signaling. When that balance slips, concentration can feel harder, reaction time can slow, and mental effort can feel heavier. That is one reason mild dehydration is often described as brain fog rather than just thirst. It is not mystical. It is physiology. Your system is trying to do complex work without ideal conditions. If your job requires attention, decision-making, speaking, writing, or emotional regulation, even a small hydration gap can matter more than you think. Now let's open the loop on the health-conscious mistake I mentioned earlier. A lot of people have trained themselves to fear sodium so aggressively that they underdo it, especially if they also exercise, eat mostly whole foods, or sweat a lot. This is not a license to ignore medical advice or load up on salt if you have a condition that requires restriction. Context matters. But in healthy people with high fluid intake and regular sweating, ultra-low sodium habits can leave hydration feeling incomplete. The practical takeaway is not add salt to everything blindly. It is to stop pretending hydration is a water-only equation. Minerals matter. Mistake number 6 is drinking according to internet rules instead of real feedback. Some people cling to one-size-fits-all targets like a gallon a day, no matter their body size, climate, food intake, or activity level. Others drink almost nothing because they are busy and then assume their body will tell them when it needs help. Neither extreme is ideal. Better cues are your energy, urine color, thirst, exercise level, heat exposure, and whether you get headaches or feel flat in the afternoon. Pale yellow urine, steady energy, and regular thirst signals are more useful than turning hydration into a contest. Now let's talk about the midday crash, because this is where a lot of people get trapped. If you start the day slightly behind, layer in caffeine, forget to drink through the morning, eat a heavy lunch, and sit for hours, it becomes very hard to know what is driving the slump. Is it blood sugar? Sleep debt? Digestion? Stress? Often, it is not just one thing. Hydration is part of a stack. That is why the best fix is usually not a magic electrolyte packet at 2 p.m. It is a better setup. Morning water, enough protein and minerals, a balanced lunch, and light movement after eating. When you solve the stack instead of just the symptom, energy usually gets more predictable. Stop for a second. If you do nothing else from this video, do this. Build a hydration routine around timing, not panic. Drink some water in the first hour after waking. Keep fluids nearby and sip across the day. Pair hydration with meals and movement. Use electrolytes strategically when you sweat more, train hard, spend time in heat, or notice that lots of plain water still leaves you feeling wrung out. This is simple, but simple does not mean insignificant. Another mistake people make is assuming fatigue from dehydration means something is seriously wrong, or on the other side, assuming all fatigue is just dehydration. Both are lazy explanations. If you are chronically exhausted, lightheaded, losing weight without trying, waking short of breath, or feeling wiped out no matter what you do, that deserves real medical evaluation. Hydration can support energy, but it cannot explain everything. Good wellness advice should reduce confusion, not create tunnel vision. So what does a practical hydration reset actually look like? Start with 1 glass of water shortly after waking. Eat meals that include whole foods with natural minerals like fruit, vegetables, dairy if you tolerate it, beans, potatoes, or broth-based meals. If you exercise or sweat heavily, consider an electrolyte source that is not overloaded with sugar. If you sit in air conditioning all day, remember that you can still get behind without noticing. And if you constantly feel better after fluids, do not just celebrate the quick fix. Ask why you keep getting behind in the first place. Let's bring this home. The biggest hydration mistakes are waiting too long, overcorrecting all at once, ignoring electrolytes, leaning on caffeine instead of foundation habits, and pretending all fluids act the same. The fix is not perfection. It is a more intelligent routine. Hydration works best when it is steady, context-aware, and supported by food, not when it swings between neglect and overcompensation. If one of these hydration mistakes sounds familiar, tell me which one in the comments. Subscribe for more practical wellness breakdowns, and watch our video on why your energy crashes after meals.